I'm Jess Gartner, the CEO and founder of Allovue and one of the co-creators and co-hosts of the Future of Education Finance Summit. So a few years ago, I was having lunch with Lisa Snell, and she mentioned that she was going to be using some grants to put on a conference for education finance, but she felt like she needed some additional resources to pull off the day, and we had the resources but none of the grants. So it seemed like sort of a match made in heaven. We came together, and we've been co-hosting this now with Reason for 2 years.
My name is Lisa Snell, and I'm the Education Director at the Reason Foundation. We got into school finance because really in America everything is about the money, and if you don't look at the money, you can't make change. And the bottom line is that the most disadvantaged kids in the United States draw down the smallest amount of money. And to the extent that we're going to go to all of the trouble of having a publicly funded education system in the United States, we should really try to connect the resources that we use to outcomes for kids.
What Allovue and what the Reason Foundation has done is brought together a very diverse group of individuals from all across our country, whether they are superintendents, budget directors, principals, nonprofits, individuals from the federal level, and having a very keen and open conversation about how we need to make sure that dollars are appropriated to classrooms equitably. But also we get on the forefront in terms of what are the trends. What are we seeing the political implications to be? What do we see as success stories in school systems? Just so we have an idea as we go back to our own individual schools and systems and organizations, how we might be able to take best practices and take new relationships to move that work forward.
We don't often get into a room of diverse voices where we can sort of bridge some of these different perspectives. So it is a very niche group, but it's a diverse group who is looking at one problem. I've been excited to nerd out with everybody today, and I look forward to actually coming back hopefully again and again.
We've been very selective in how we choose the topics and also the speakers, and we've set a pretty firm directive that these should be things that people can either directly implement or partner in the near future to be able to implement in their districts at home.
The speakers are people who are really doing this work. Everybody's coming to the table with actions that they've already taken.
And we've really tried to both give a big picture and get into the weeds about the nitty-gritty challenges that these districts have as they try to make positive change.
To my mind, there's a bit of a crisis that's happening in K-12 education. And I think that the attendees here today really offer a potential pathway for that opportunity to think about this work differently.
Because it's one of the only areas where we're just still doing things like we did in the 1970s, the 1940s, and we don't use data and information in real time very well.
I'm excited that that this conference has doubled, which is showing that we are seeing that people are paying more attention to this work and recognizing that if we can bring more transparency and allow districts and principals to be able to see that there are other ways to allocate their resources, that we could start seeing real change.
You know, we're not just doing this because we like school finance or we want to be, cost effective or more productive. We're doing it because we want to improve outcomes for human beings that live in our country, that are Americans.
We want people to remember the context of school finance. It's, yes, about staying in the black and making sure that you don't have a deficit, but at the end of the day, it's also really about making sure that kids have the best experience that they possibly can have at school and making sure that the resources are aligned to that.